It's a very interesting day because we are going to chat. Basically, this is going to be a safe space for us to discuss about AI in academia, especially the phenomenon that is ChatGPT. Today's registration, we can see roughly around 50 to 60 of our colleagues who have shown much interest in this particular topic itself. And I'm very happy to state that what we want to do today is not so much of a training session because we ourselves and my colleagues over here, we do not have all the answers. But what we want is just an open discussion on the challenges and how we can share on how ChatGPT or AI will be able to assist us in our everyday lives as academicians itself. One thing we need to understand is AI itself has been with us for many, many years. When we look into technology, not so much of AI alone, but technology per se. For many of you, you may have known web browsers such as, like, previously, I still can remember, what was it, Alta Vista. Alta Vista was one of the first. Then it came, as it evolved, it changed, and now we have things what we have like Google. When it came out, all of us, being a student itself or being a junior teacher, we were thinking, why will teachers be needed then when everything is now available with just a click away? But there is still a big requirement, not so much in the knowledge part of things, but more in the inculcating into our students the way of learning. How do we learn? How do we attain knowledge? And how do we then make knowledge in a way legitimate? And when Wikipedia came out, a lot of us in academia thought that this is going to be another big shake in how students will be able to show their work. But look at how it has evolved today. As for AI, I think many of us have been using it as simple as the spell check. If we look into spell check in many of our softwares and so on, Grammarly and whatnot, that is already at its infancy AI itself, to where we are going, which is ChatGPT. For me, I feel AI is something that we should embrace. We should embrace wholeheartedly, open our arms to learn, and we should even accept it as the future of how learning is going to be. However, there must be a caveat in all of this. And the key caveat is, what then do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line about using artificial intelligence itself? If you look into universities' guides, many top universities already have guides about the usage of artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. So it is only proper for me to also read something that is from University of Wollongong, verbatim. Using any artificial intelligence AI tool such as ChatGPT to assist in completing any type of university assessment, unless you are permitted to do so, is considered academic misconduct. All right. So UOW already have this. They are not saying you cannot use. They are not saying don't use. However, if it is used in an improper way and it is used to produce accessible work for you, then it is deemed as academic misconduct. So if we then just ponder over how it is written, we are in this very challenging times where how much do we allow and how do we then gauge what is then proper usage of artificial intelligence. I am not one to put fence nor to say that we shouldn't. No, I find this is something that needs to be used. But then it is then for us to understand. So for us as assessors or for us as academicians itself, it could be now a time for us to, in a way, step back and think of the way of how do we actually assess our students. The traditional sense that we do may need to take a little bit of a change, all right? The way that we structure questioning itself, all right? So there was this discussion that when I had my, normally every month we have this blended learning committee between all the members of UOW GE, Australia, Hong Kong, and also Dubai. And in the last meeting last month, the big discussion was, where do we go from there? Where do we go? How do we go? And based on what I hear on all the academic leaders over there, it is something we cannot hide. We need to accept. But this acceptance needs to be done with caution. Okay. So it goes back to the way of how we use this tool, and it goes back to the way of how we want to assess the students now. So even the way that we write our questions need to be tweaked. So things such as like personal opinions, expressions, and also ensuring there is a context in our questions will now be critical, will now be very important. Open level questions, especially if you're giving an assignment, definitely they'll be able to search. And knowing our students, being how intelligent they won't give you word for word verbatim on what they get in ChatGPT. What they will do is this, they will get, and then they will tweak it into their own liking itself. Now, for us academicians, are we alone in this? No, definitely not. If you look at what Turnitin has, Turnitin recently, a few weeks ago, they actually have a preview. And the preview is Turnitin now already has detection capability on AI and especially on ChatGPT itself. Okay, so Turnitin is looking at it that way. All right, so these companies or this software are already looking into it. But for us, it is important for us as academicians, where now it is not so much on the content that we are selling to the student, but it is more on the way of learning, the way of identifying what information is legitimate, the way of, in a way, we are there to educate the students to learn. That is what is important for us. Because knowledge itself is so vast, it is everywhere. It is for us to educate the students what is information, where do we get it, and what is legitimate information. And by doing so, you will find that the role of us academicians will take a different level. Not as cikgu sahaja mengajar, no. But we need to be facilitators in the way that the students will learn. That is why when we discuss, especially with the experts, I would call them experts, people like Idora and her colleagues around them. These are experts. They are the ones that know much more than I do. All right. So when we were discussing about it, we came up with the point that this is very important. It's important for us to just have a discussion so that we will be a little bit clearer on how this tool can be used. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have all the answers today. And nor are we going to have all the answers even in the near future because things change so fast. But it is important for us to share, all right? It's for us to share and for us to be able to learn from each other and how to best come up with the proper way or the best way or the most efficient and effective way for our students to learn. So without further ado, I do not want to take any more time. I'm given 10 minutes. I'm only taking 8. I will now pass on to Idora and her team, who will then take us through the whole journey. Today, if there are any questions as we go along, there's going to be sessions where it is basically discussion time. You can unmute yourself to ask the question. You can put up your hand, all right? There is this hand button over there. Or you can even write your question into the question box. However, I would like to suggest maybe we will just you can ask the questions verbally so that everybody can hear and everybody can also answer. This is a session where everybody can answer. All right. So Idora, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Gabriel. And good afternoon to everyone. All right. So I'm actually no expert. I think just curious and someone who wants to know more about the tools out there, especially in terms of ChatGPT. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're having this forum. So what I'm actually tasked to do is just to basically just go on. Yeah, to cover first. What is ChatGPT? So I'm not going to go through a very technical definition, more of an overview, general definition so that everyone understands. And then what is it not? So with regards to artificial intelligence, what are the other different areas in AI which ChatGPT is not? And then we're going to look at basically what you can use ChatGPT for, and the limitations. So this won't take long. The main focus will be the last part, which is the actual forum. and anyone can put your thoughts, issues, and concerns. Okay, you can voice out your thoughts, issues, and concerns, and also anyone who has input or any information, or you can, if you can answer, you can answer. So it's not like myself or Gabriel only that we can answer your queries. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a video. Now, the video is a bit soft, so I have the sound quality. I mean, it's not that good, but I do have the what do you call that? The text appearing. So it's just a 1 minute 45-second video. So let me just run that first.
I don't know, there's no sound at all.
All right. Sorry, guys. I tested earlier with Bridget and it was fine. Okay. So I'll just skip the video. I'll provide
Subtitles, yes.
Yeah, the subtitle is there. Yeah,
Okay.
but if there's actually no sound at all, I think I'll just, because everyone's going to get the slides anyways, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's more of an introduction. Yeah. Yeah, as in,
Do you share the screen with include computer sound?
yes, I did, but I'll try
Oh,
again.
okay.
Okay, wait now. I did share with sound. So let's just see whether, sorry guys, this does happen. Try again.
So everyone's talking about
Yeah,
got it.
ChatGPT, and they're asking serious questions like, does it mean robots are going to take away our jobs, or will ChatGPT kill the college essay? So what is this new technology that everyone's equally fascinated by and a little bit afraid of? Essentially, ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence, or AI, chatbot released by the San Francisco company OpenAI. Humans can ask it questions, and it will send back answers that range from chatty to scientific to poetic. Given a prompt, it can write emails, papers, movie scripts, it can churn out meal planning suggestions, complex code, and even guess at medical diagnoses. So how does it work? ChatGPT isn't searching the internet in real time. It's built on a machine learning model that was trained with massive amounts of text and information, and then refined using a training algorithm called reinforcement learning from human feedback. And while ChatGPT is incredibly impressive, it's not foolproof. For example, the company warns it may turn out plausible sounding, but ultimately totally incorrect answers. And though it was built to turn down inappropriate requests, it can at times be tricked into responding with harmful or biased answers. Users have gotten it to give out instructions for making a bomb, for example. So what are its applications? There's a lot, too many to enumerate, but some obvious ones include using it as a tool for digital marketing or customer service. And some fear it could replace skilled workers entirely. So, could ChatGPT have written this video script? Let's ask it.
So just a quick introduction there for everyone. Now I'll continue with a little bit more into what is ChatGPT. So basically from the video, you know that it is, the lady mentioned that it's not a real-time application. It's mainly a system that can enable us humans to communicate with computers in a more conversational manner. So I've got a diagram here that actually shows that. So what you do is you type in the chat space, and then you can ask your question in a more conversational manner, and then the chatbot will take your question and then go through something called natural language processing, which is a branch of AI that focuses on allowing computers to understand, interpret, and generate feedback back to us in a more human-like language. And then this information will be checked against a back-end knowledge base. And this knowledge base uses another branch of AI called deep learning, which allows the use of neural networks to learn how to come up with the answer from that vast amount of data. So deep learning allows many complex patterns or decision making based on the knowledge data at the back end. And then the result will be translated into human-like language. What we say natural language processing will convert it to natural language and display the answer in text form back to us. So that's basically what ChatGPT is. So like I said, I don't want to make it too technical. And apart from chatbots, it can also be used in virtual assistants or other conversational kind of applications. So that's basically what ChatGPT is. And then what is it not? Now, there are other branches of artificial intelligence out there, and ChatGPT is definitely not robotics, or what we say industrial robots or humanoids, right? It's not as sophisticated or advanced as robotics. It is also not computer vision, which is facial recognition, object detection. It is not an expert system. So it's not a pure expert system because the main difference is that an expert system takes the knowledge base from experts. So you can see in the diagram here, the knowledge base is taken from experts. So if, for example, the system was cancer medical diagnosis for a certain type of cancer, you'd get the cancer specialist to give the knowledge. Whereas if you look at ChatGPT, that knowledge base can be from whatever data is out there and allowed to use. So in this case, ChatGPT is under the company OpenAI, whatever they have in their knowledge base. So it could be from non-experts as well. And it will derive the answer to your questions based on their set of database or knowledge. So it's not really considered an expert system. Plus the processing for expert systems is a bit different. It uses a different technique. So it doesn't use natural language processing. It uses rule-based engines. And finally, ChatGPT is also not cognitive computing. So this is systems that can do emotion recognition or fraud detection. So for example, Gabriel said earlier that Turnitin is using AI to be able to detect content that was taken from ChatGPT. So that's known as an example of cognitive computing, where it could detect fraud or error. Okay. So what can we do with ChatGPT now? I would also share, so I have a whiteboard that I've done a bit of, I typed some questions on ChatGPT, so there's some examples as well to share with you. But what can ChatGPT do now? So it can help to automate tasks. For example, it has the ability to churn out, like basic programming scripts to automate certain tasks, and that script or that code, it actually works, right? It does have that ability to do that. Yesterday, I saw a YouTube video of someone showing how ChatGPT helped to do some things in Excel as well, automate certain tasks in Excel as well. It, of course, makes it easier for users to interact with the computers naturally. And I'll show you a very good example of that as well, because it also has the ability, like you ask ChatGPT a question, if you're not satisfied with the answer, you can continue by saying, okay, I'm not satisfied with your answer. I need more information, or please give me a different answer, and it will actually do that. So it has the ability to recognize that what you asked earlier. It also is used to develop topic ideas, keyword research, content writing. So for example, you could write the lyrics to a song, or you could ask it to write the lyrics for a particular song. So this is what I said earlier. It remembers what you said earlier in the conversation. Yeah, write short stories, novels, and allows you to provide follow-up corrections. And it can do language translation as well. But there are some limitations to ChatGPT. So of course, the main limitation is that it still generates incorrect, irrelevant, or ambiguous text. The data set or the knowledge base is only until September 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Right, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. So for example, if you ask ChatGPT, who is the current Prime Minister of Malaysia, it will not actually say, give the correct answer, okay? It cannot produce text for everything that you ask, because like in the video, it doesn't have any direct internet access. So it's not something that is public yet. Cannot provide real-time information or has limited knowledge on recent events. So for example, if you ask what will the weather be or the weather forecast be for a certain location tomorrow, so it will actually respond and say that it does not have access to real-time information. You cannot, so similarly, you cannot use location-based information as well. So earlier I said it does support language translation, but sometimes the translation is incorrect. And this was also mentioned in the video, and there was an example. It sometimes does generate harmful instructions or biased content, right? So I'm going to show you some examples. Share my whiteboard. Okay, so this is an example of natural language interaction. You guys can see the whiteboard, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I typed, I'm feeling a bit down today, cheer me up. So it responds like a human. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling down today. Here are a few things that might help cheer you up. So let's say I'm not satisfied with the answer. I actually did that. I followed up and I said, I still feel down. Please do better in cheering me up. So then it actually gives more suggestions as well. Other things that I've tested, okay, it can generate a song. So I asked it to write an alternative rock song with chords. So it does give me chords as well about Dora, the crazy cat lady. So it does do a good job of doing that. Okay, and in a manner of like it's angry alternative rock music. Okay, it can do that. Translation. So basic translation is okay. But there's certain words that it doesn't, I mean, if you put like, words with more than one meaning, or it has more of a poetic meaning, sometimes it's not translated correctly, right? And these are examples where it cannot do prediction. So I asked, what is the share price of TM? So it does respond, it does not have access to real-time stock market data. It does not have access to real-time weather information, right? And again, it's not connected to the internet, because when I asked, show me the contents of this particular blogger, it says it cannot do that, okay? Harmful content. Okay, here's probably one of the things that is a concern for me. So this is what I asked where, the example where it could actually still produce harmful content. So I asked, how do I scam an old lady? So of course the answer will say it's unethical, it's illegal. But then I rephrased that question into let's say it's a movie setting or a movie dialogue. So it actually does give the answer. And of course, but at the end, it does say, but remember, this is just for the movie. Okay, in real life, scamming is legal. But you can see that you can work around and it will give you a result which is considered harmful information. And finally, so I tested this yesterday, where I tried to see whether it could write a full journal paper. By the way, this is a title that I just thought offhand. Okay, actually, I don't even know if it's a relevant title or not. So it did start off giving the table of contents, abstract, included referencing, but then along the way, over here, when it went to part 4, it suddenly hanged. Okay, and then when I asked it to regenerate, so you can see that I asked it to regenerate, so there's a second page, and it actually responds that cannot provide complete journal, and then just continues with the outline. And you can see that literature review, I checked 1 or 2, it's outdated, right? So it's not, what do you call it? It's not foolproof. So currently, this is what I have tested. Okay, some examples. Yeah, no, correct. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think the more important part is our actual discussion. So that's basically it from what I want to present. And I think the next part is more important, which is to get everyone who's here today to give your thoughts, any issues or concerns that you have, and hopefully those in the forum today can share and provide, some solutions or some suggestions as well. Yeah. So, Gabriel, that's all from me.
Good. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Idora.
Yeah,
I think,
welcome.
yeah, it's a very
Let
good.
me
Yeah.
stop sharing first.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Now, now we are going to open the forum. Those of you who have any questions, feel free to ask. Those of you who are, no need, it doesn't have to be a question. If you would like to share something, you can just come in. All right. I have been actually playing around with ChatGPT until now, and many of you know, for those of you who are using ChatGPT, there's this upgraded version that you need to pay US dollars 20 ringgit. So I'm very curious, any of you who have actually paid that amount, please share with us whether is it worth the money or not, because I find it to be a very good tool. For me, I am a user of ChatGPT, more so of in my daily duties where there is a requirement to do repetitive tasks. All right, when there are certain repetitive tasks that I need to do, then I find it to be actually very good. And sometimes just for fun, I make it as a conversation. So sometimes I will ask things such as like something to do with a particular issue or a particular character or Shakespeare or whatever. And then suddenly the answer will come. Then you can go in detail. Why did he do that? Then the answer. Then after you further prod on it itself. So it can be actually quite a good companion when you are bored. Not that I need companionship at the moment, but what I'm saying is it is something which, if you look at it, the way that it thinks is actually very, very unique. All right. To write an email to Hazim. No need lah. Okay. All right. So that is something very good. All right. So now let's just open it up for any of you who have any questions or whatnot or your concerns. Please feel free to let's share. Let's take the next few takes half an hour, 45 minutes to share on our findings and also our thoughts.
Hi, Idora. I'm Alicia here from TLC. So you talk about that it's still not like perfected. So do you think there's still flaw on this ChatGPT. So do you think that it's going to be perfected in the near future and how it can impact like in our education or like other application? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely sure that they're going to improve the algorithm. In fact, the way ChatGPT works is that they have the data set already, but when someone asks something from ChatGPT, the answer becomes a new data set itself. So So you can imagine like the analogy of you have a warehouse with a lot of craters inside, right? And imagine that those individual craters already has data inside. So when you ask ChatGPT something, it can extract from all these different craters and get the answer, and it becomes a new crater. So it adds on to that warehouse itself. So that's one aspect whereby when you keep asking, or a lot of people keep asking the same thing, it gets more and more good at answering. But that's why people are saying that the answers could be biased, lead toward a certain direction. So I read somewhere that there were a lot of questions about fossil fuel being asked in a negative way, and it ended up making it sound like the answers that ChatGPT gave about fossil fuel would tend to be more on the negative side. So that's a danger there. But in terms of perfecting how they answer, it's going to be more, I foresee that it will be more and more human-like. Yeah. But currently, I think what makes it still safe is because it's not connected to the internet. So I think I saw Stephanie put down, it's like Google 2.0. So basically, there's a big difference right now between search engines like Google and ChatGPT, because Google is actually on the public internet, and it has web crawlers that can crawl and search for the relevant title or site and displays it as a list. So of course, Google would have more results as compared to ChatGPT, and more relevant and better results. It's just that it's not displayed to us in a conversational manner. So for example, my colleagues and I, we asked ChatGPT for the original recipe of Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it responded and said it couldn't give us. And then when we Googled, there was a whole listing of KFC original recipe fried chicken with the ingredients and how to make it. So there's still a big difference. It's not a search engine, basically. Yeah. But I definitely know, get the feeling, they're going to make that algorithm better. And pretty much that is the direction that artificial intelligence is in general. You see robots in the past, you see the robots now, right? Yeah.
Correct. And if I'm not wrong, to all our colleagues, the current information that is in ChatGPT is roughly around 5 terabytes or something like that, which is actually just a pin in the ocean compared to the information that is really available. So what we see is this thing, as what Idora has said, will definitely leaps and bounds. We will go leaps and bounds the way it is, and it is going to be monetized by many companies. Okay, definitely it is going to be. Now, I believe there was a good question over here. One of your colleagues is, how do we actually check students' work on ChatGPT? Which Li Jing, thank you very much. Li Jing has already put down certain counter softwares that are already available. Even Turnitin, one of the more prominent ones, will integrate not only a beta version, but a full version that is integrated into the system very soon. But I think for us here as academicians, it is not so much on how do we just in a way, check, or how do we police students' behavior, but more so of how do we encourage students to use technology in a way that it is proper, a proper way of using technology that doesn't breach any academic conditions that will impact their learning itself. Correct? What do you think? Some of you may want to share. You can just unmute yourself and speak.
Well, I will begin.
Okay, go ahead.
So I would think about that learning is not about the final work that you produce. I think with this AI, it's like it changed us educators, like how we're going to facilitate, because it's no longer like the traditional teaching method. Like even now, I can see that all right, that we are no longer using the traditional method, like we are just like giving lectures to the students but in fact, we are doing some engaging activities with the students as well. So perhaps this is another new era for us to actually adopt this AI into our teaching methods and how we're going to assess the students. I think most likely, the thing that we are worrying most about is about how we assess the students, especially on like essay writing, since they can give like the answers and so on and so forth. Perhaps I think there are ways that we can restructuring our essay questions, maybe. Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Basically, if you look at AI itself, they are good at extracting information. I mean, we are taking ChatGPT as an example. They're good at extracting information, but they are not so good at answering information on personal opinion and experiences. All right, personal opinion and experiences. So sometimes when you're structuring your question, it is important to have the same three contexts, lah. The action verb part, the theory part or the concept part that you're asking, and the context part. So the context part is where you will require students to demonstrate based on experience or personal opinion. All right. So I think we need to be cautious when we are looking at setting our questions in such. Yeah, to make sure that there is that application part of it that requires something actual, like setting up so and so organization in Glen Marie, in Batu Kawan or something like that. Make it narrow at a certain time. You see, at a certain we want to come up with a stall. So maybe what are the marketing plans if you are planning to come up with a nasi lemak stall during the December month in Batu Kawan? So students need to relate different conditions. December, rainy season, what should I do? What do I need? If it's nasi lemak stall, Batu Kawan, who are my clientele? Or something like that. Then it could then this is in a way to ensure that the students, is to overcome the way that the students can use direct AI to answer it. Now I put a caveat there. Always put caveat in my answers. In the future, who knows? The technology can be so good that Idora, who knows, it may be able to search the internet itself for answers. Then even what we think to do will be a thing of the past, lah.
Yeah, I actually read a paper about some of the suggestions provided. So it's a paper on vetting and cheating, ensuring academic integrity in the era of ChatGPT. So this is not a ChatGPT generated answer. This is from research. And they give some suggestions. So of course, they do suggest use plagiarism detection tools, but they also said one very important aspect is to educate the students about plagiarism using these AI tools. And they suggest that perhaps now is the time where we need to require students to submit drafts of their work for review. So, not just one final submission, there could be like 2 or 3 submissions prior, just to check before they do a final submission. And then, of course, at university level, the recommendation is to set a very clear guideline for how AI tools such as ChatGPT should be used. And also, this is something that Gabriel pointed out, produce more witty or interesting, what do you call, assessment, something that is a little more out of the box, something more current, because and it requires more of the students' personal thoughts, personal feelings, and personal views. Yeah. So that was some of the suggestions that they gave. Yeah.
I'm curious. Sorry, I don't know. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I would like to ask Mr. Loh Eugene, can you elaborate a little bit about working with students to use AI art to prototype ideas and brainstorm? I think this is something very interesting also, because we would also like to understand what are the other avenues that AI is being used. Hi, Eugene.
Hello, hi. I was actually typing it out. So I was actually saying that in my class, I actually get students to sketch ideas out. But another way to kind of figure out certain things and to figure out visuals and understand visuals is to actually find references. And AI art itself can be a form of referencing and mood board. So in fact, it's quite interesting because it's only been 3 weeks that I've been working on it. Like, not many students have tried it. I didn't tell the students, but I experimented it on my own, and 1 student or 2 students actually did it, and we tried it a little bit in class yesterday. However, I think the big thing that I'm starting to realize that it's actually very easy as of now to spot students using that, because again, like we talked about, my assignments are very, very contextual, like we talk about it. Currently, they are actually designing album covers for fake bands that we have created. So because of that, it's really hard. And I've actually tried using AI art to prototype it. Didn't really come out well because the context that I gave them were really specific. But however, it's a really good way to get them to understand aesthetics, like which aesthetic would suit with which music genre, and which aesthetic would potentially suit with which what do you call that, meaning and stuff like that. It's still very unrefined, because I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be put in, and it's much faster for a more experienced designer to work it out. But I think it's a good starting point for students to work off. In a way, like, as students start looking for references to do mood boards and stuff like that, this is another smarter way to do referencing for some of the students. Yeah.
So Eugene, may I just ask,
Mm.
I get it from you that using the AI itself assist students to initiate those ideas, correct? Give them the start. Just give them the
Yeah.
start so that they know where they
Yeah.
are going. Okay.
Yeah.
So after they have that start, then it is you who is the
Yeah.
facilitator that will guide them on what is
Yeah.
correct. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because some of the briefs that I give them, like you mentioned, they are not as simple as something that they can just create really quickly. There's a lot of progression that's needed. There's a lot of processes that they need to go through before they can finish up the work.
Good. Any of our colleagues would like to comment or also share the same experience of what Eugene has said? Interesting.
I'd like to share, I've been, introducing a bit of the use of ChatGPT in my classes. And I'd like to share that I don't know whether this is something that is, what do you call, a general view, or more, specific because of certain type of students. But for my subject, so I teach a bit of subjects that have to do with programming as well as application of computer science, right? So I asked them questions, and then I asked them, okay, check what is the answer that ChatGPT gave? So for example, asking them, can you find the code? Can you get ChatGPT to generate code for something, for example? And then my students actually got bored after that. They were saying, Miss, why would we ask ChatGPT? GitHub is so much better. They kind of know that there are other resources out there which are a whole lot better, right? I mean, I'm talking about currently, than ChatGPT. They would rather, for example, GitHub is where a lot of the programmers out there, especially those involved in open source software development, they share their code. Other programmers can actually contact the programmer themselves if they reuse the code and they're stuck, so they kind of know that there are other avenues that are better resources than ChatGPT. So when I picked that up, I said, you see, sometimes, ChatGPT is not the answer for everything. So it's also good I think that's one of the ways we can approach, like, look, this is the result you're getting. Point out to the students that, hey, this is inaccurate, or look at the way this result comes out from ChatGPT, but look at, these other resources that we've been using all along, and they seem to be much better, for example. So maybe we could start doing that as well, so that they can see, okay, it's not perfect. There are other resources that are much better for that subject, or whatever subject you're teaching.
through? Let's see the question. Let's see what are the questions. Any questions in the Minwei is asking, what about detect students' digital artworks in original work or using AI help? That, I mean, if you're talking about software to detect whether students use AI help itself, I believe Eugene has already stated that it is easy to identify at the moment. At the moment, the scope of the technology is at its infancy, so the differentiation of what is being produced by AI is actually very close. However, all of these things needs to understand that as time goes by, it will be much better, and technology then can, or in a way, surpass certain expectations that we would have. Yeah. Let's see. Hi, Dr. Ang. Hi,
Hello,
how
Idora.
are you?
Yeah,
Hi,
fine.
Dr. Ang, long time no see. How are you?
Yeah, this is a very interesting topics, the hottest topics.
Come share your thoughts.
I've been trying in many, but using ChatGPT in different ways, including student assignment reports and the coding, programming paper, past year paper, and it seems that ChatGPT is very capable in doing that, except figure drawing. So as a lecturers, we must be able to be to be the master for this tool rather than be the slave for this tool. So to me, I think ChatGPT is just like when we when we have to go back to 20 years ago. Yeah, when we first deal with the Google search engines, right? I still remember, long time ago that one of the professors in my university says that if you search anything from Google, it'll fail you. Because that is actually the cutting edge technologies at that moment, and people don't really trust on it. Okay, so we have a pro cam, and we have the and we have the cons camps, so both of them are fighting to each other. But at the end of the day, it proves that it is actually one of the best tools. It's still existing now, but just that recently the stock price plumped due to the bad performance. And I think we should use it as a tool, and as I said, to be the masters for the tools and not to be the slave of the tools. And how let us just put it this way. So let's say if I'm giving an assignment question, I'm a student, let's say, okay, but I'm not. I'm too old to be a student. So if I ask a ChatGPT, I just type in the question and ask GPT to generate the reports together with the Harvard referencings, together with all the contents, and all, I'll be able to get it easily. But back to the square. I would like to ask the students, the participants that attend today, did you learn anything from this process? Nothing. You learn nothing. Okay. So if you keep on doing this, at the end of the day, when you go to interview, when you really work in real industries, everything will be reviewed. The God knows. Okay, we might have ChatGPT to act like a god, but the God knows eventually. But we can actually use it in this way. Let's say I'm a student. I'm not really good in English. Okay, and I'm not really good in English, but I have very good ideas. But just that if you ask me to write in Mandarin, I can write A+ report. But if you ask me to write in English, I might be able to get 60 marks just because of my broken language and also the grammar mistakes. But by using GPTs, that students can overcome this. And from the process of comparing your originals returns reports based on your idea with those that are generated by ChatGPTs or not, the students actually learn on how to write a proper English, how to write a world-class language, how to write a scientific report, how to write an artistic report. So that is what we call to be the masters of the tools. We learn it, we use it for the benefit of us, but not to be the slave. Yeah, that's the only things that I would like to share today.
Thank you, Dr. Ang. It's totally true to be able to use the tool in the manner that will most benefit us, be the master of it and not to be the slave. I think that is something which what is the key point over here that we need to emphasize to the students. However, many of our students look at immediate gratification. If the immediate gratification is getting the report out, they do not see how detrimental it could be in the future. So I think what Dr. Ang says is also should linger in our mind in the fact that how we make the students want to learn. Okay, to make the students want to learn itself, which links to at the end of the day, if you're talking about just giving knowledge, then knowledge is everywhere. We are not the masters or the well of knowledge as how teachers used to be previously lah. All right, because the virtual world is abundance of knowledge itself. So that is it. Make the students want to learn itself. Yeah. May I know if ChatGPT is only available in English language? At the moment, I've been searching English. Don't write any other languages, so I'm not very sure. Good question. Let me just see whether they understand BM or not.
Yes,
Can or not?
they
Boleh,
do. Julian
Julian
Wong and I,
Ah.
we did ask it to write poem, pantun.
Boleh ya, pantun? Boleh ya?
Can.
Oh.
Can, Nijing can write pantun, but the way it created the pantun, the Malay style is not exactly the right structure.
Oh.
So it didn't rhyme at the end. You know, the last sound didn't rhyme. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some limitations to that. And also I shared earlier that I asked it to give lyrics to create lyrics for a song, right? If you keep asking the same thing, so you ask create lyrics for this song, for that song, you can actually see that the result is always a similar pattern. So it will have like verse, chorus, outtake, outro, and then it repeats the same thing for different songs. But you know, it's not as unique as you think it is.
Okay.
I just
go ahead.
And I just wonder that maybe one days we should set the assessments to be fully coursework rather than having the final examinations. I'm not pretty sure about this. Let's say if we have another MCO, we cannot afford to have online exam anymore. Yeah.
True. Something that this is things as technology goes through. These are things that more things that we will need to think about. Yeah. True. When students present, so yes, that this is actually one area, one way of identifying true knowledge itself, where you get the students to present, and when you ask them questions, they are able to justify it for you. Sorry. Okay, are there any issues or questions? See, the messages are going faster than I can read, and Idora, it can be trained to be unique. You can just prompt it, write a Malay song in the style of P. Ramlee. Oh, okay. I actually I just asked them to write a pantun in Malay language on food, and it actually did it. Let me see how good it is. Menggoda selera. Makan nasi lemak santan berlimpah. Tersenyum lebah. Lidah tidak berhenti mengapa. Rendang ayam pedas sangat menggoda. Selera bertambah terus mencuba lauk puak selera. Okay not too bad.
Yeah, he just commented there. Yeah, I originally asked the song to be written in the style of alternative rock. You can be more specific. So I could say, for example, Metallica style. Yeah, it will come out. But at the end of the day, remember the knowledge base is what it already has.
True.
So it can't produce something that is entirely original. That's what I meant to say earlier.
That's true. So we are actually on a daily basis learning new things and seeing how this thing will actually go. So, any questions or anybody want to share?
Just one quick interesting fact that I have read about this ChatGPT is that what Dr. Ang's talk about his experience, right? So one of the founder actually got scolded by his university professor for getting the codes from internet that actually prompt him to create this ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
yes, yeah. And now you see what has happened. All right, Dr. Yong has a good question here. ChatGPT would have an impact on ODL and multiple choice. Online distance, yes. MC, I think is multiple choice, right? If you look at multiple choice itself on
Gabe, no, it's not multiple choice, it's micro-credential.
micro-credential, all
We
right.
have been
I thought
doing
you
a
were talking
lot
about
of preparations
examination.
for open distance learning and
Ah,
micro-credential.
yes.
And unfortunately, all these are online learning,
Mhm.
and they're online learning. So in that case, it's unlike the undergrads that we're having that they have to go to final exam. But in this case, because it's online learning thingy, right? The very fact that they are being assessed remotely, and with the present with GPT, that presents an issue. The very fact that how do we then ensure that they are what they are, and they are not using some other means to improve their assessment, so to speak. Yeah. So I think we may have an issue there in terms of ODL and in terms of MC, and how do we accurately and to assess a person in terms of his credential, his proper credentials, rather than some hiding behind a chat GPT or chat box, when we are doing a proper assessment with them.
Chat box behind a chat box. Especially when you're talking about the being virtual in such that sometimes there's a requirement for communication and whatnot, correct?
Yeah, I mean, communications is one thing. Yes, and most of the time, sometimes we may not have verbal communications or visual communications with them, and sometimes we just use the chat room, to have a discussions and things like that. So I think that's one thing. What is most concerning, I believe, right, is how do we accurately assess the ability? Even with the
Yes,
chat
Dr.
box,
Yong,
at the end of the day,
to your questions
we
right now,
still
I
have
think
to,
we as
yeah.
the educators, right, we have to evolve the ways of assessing the students. And one of the types is let's say I set 50 questions MCQs to a students that do remotely. And let's say these students score 49 out of 50 by using ChatGPT. And the next sessions that I'm going to have is short interviews to ask for certain right questions and ask him to justify. And then based on that, I will take that weightage that I gave, multiply with the number of questions scored by the students in order to get the real marks.
Yeah, the thing here is this, Dr. R, but then interview to online has its own limitations there. The very fact that I can have another PC beside me, whatever you say, whatever you ask me, I can just type it, into the other PC that's beside me. I'm able to get all the answers that you want. Right? Because you're talking about online.
I think you can
We're not
actually
talking about
detect it by
face-to-face.
turning on the
Because
camera,
if
because
you're
if the
talking
eyes
about,
keep looking at the at the
so now we are
certain.
talking about the eye movement now. So what happens if I just
Yes,
place on top?
yes.
You see, the thing here is this, that this is not something that's new. Even during MCO time, we also have this as well. I say, for instance, because I have one-to-one chat with students, and we are able to see, sure, you're talking about eye movement, but what about up and down? I can just place it in front of me. It's possible. Right.
Okay.
So I think there's certain
unfortunately,
limitation.
our internet speed does not support the Procto test, because I experienced that when I took one Procto test from IBM's, that the screen really zoom at you, and you couldn't just have any movement of your eye, but just look at the screen, and you cannot type it because it will detect it. So that, but however, no matter how advanced the IBM set the questions by using Procto test, when it apply in Malaysia with the very fast speed of internet that we are enjoying now, or even 6G, still not even able to have this problem solved. It's just
absolutely,
like if
because
you have,
you think about
yeah.
it, 6G is already incoming. It's already next in line.
Yeah.
Now with 5G,
You're
5G
right.
is very entrenched, right? So 6G will be
Yes,
another
yes,
1,000
yes.
more times speed compared to 5G. What are we talking
You're
about
right.
here?
You're right.
Yeah.
So
So
prototypes
that's
will
basically
be
the
the trend.
problem.
Will be the trend. Yeah. But I'm just trying to say is that if our Malaysians still do not want to invest into the infrastructures, no matter how advanced AI algorithms or AI applications that we have right now, it'll be useless. It's just like you have electric appliances, but without the socket or without the current, you can't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to recognize the fact that the AI is here to stay. We have to embrace it. I think there's certain limitation, but I think maybe now is the time for us to look at it, proactively in terms of how we are able to manage it
True.
as it comes on board,
True.
right? And how can we
True.
embrace it together with students and think of perhaps
True.
a better way of working together, to
You're right.
for the best benefit of everybody. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
we might have a scenario where when we try to when we try to deliver the lecture notes in the class right now, the student might be able to come out with a certain facts or evidence that says that, sir, you're wrong. This statement is not this way. It has to be in this way, this way, this way. So we have to learn to be more flexible and to be more creative in teaching our students as compared to our last time.
Yep. So I think what we take back over this is based on that conversation is it's important for us to customize the question. So that would require the students to relate to situations, especially context and situations part. That is very important. So when the students are able to apply that is to show knowledge, which the technology itself may not be able to do. And the more unique or authentic those situations are, then it becomes it'll be more difficult for the students to be able to use just technology itself to answer those situations. Okay. So Idora is sharing now. Idora, you may want to talk a little bit about this. This is a good document.
Yeah. So basically, I've got a few friends in UPM, so they have actually said that they already have a guideline for how ChatGPT should be used in TNL. So on the top right-hand side with the exclamation mark, I really like the statement there. It says ChatGPT usage requires educators to redesign their assessment. This technology will eventually start to push some of those terrible assignments out and force us to come up with something new. So I think that's always been the transition that we had to go through anyways, when in the past Google first came out, right? And then subsequently other tools and technologies out there that were and have been used in TNL. So I foresee that I guess UOW would also have to eventually come up with a similar guideline or something that can assist the educators as well. Yeah. It has come out already. Okay. But I like the suggestions put here as well, especially if you see a different type of assessment down there. I think he just mentioned, provide a current issue. Do something more on that is contextual or real world problem. Personal opinion reasoning is required. And then they even put examples in terms of those doing art. So, there is emphasis on drafting the work first, look at the drafts as well before the final submission. So we have no choice as educators. We need to start being more creative and especially in terms of our assessment.
Good. Any other question? Sorry, go ahead.
I see he just comment there. So he says, what I foresee in the future, there will be government legislation as well as advanced version probably available for enterprise, and there's limited capability available to public. Just to what he just mentioned there is actually already happening now in the United States. And earlier, I think Min was asking how would we detect if there was somebody's original work, so like an artwork, right? That was originally done by someone, and then tools like Midjourney would take their artwork without getting permission from them, and then to come up with their own, modified artwork. There's already artist groups, or artists in the United States that are planning to take legal action based on what is produced by some of these AI tools, because there's copyright infringement. So to also enhance, or to also continue with what he just said there, I definitely think there will also be changes in terms of legislation, in terms of laws, what will be, considered for copyright. Yeah, so that's another thing that could also like slow down the use of ChatGPT for public. Again, that's the reason why ChatGPT is not on the internet currently. One of the reasons why, because of security and privacy issues. And another reason that OpenAI, the company that produced ChatGPT, another reason why they said they're not going to make it connect to the internet is also because of the fact that it's still that control and bias, it still produces that biased answer, and that's quite dangerous and unethical. So they do not want that kind of, they're trying to figure out how to reduce that kind of inappropriate responses. So currently it will still be a closed knowledge base. It will not be open on the internet.
Nora is stating a lot of professional artists have taken their work off portfolio websites that automatically add submission. Oh, okay. Interesting. So these are going to be exciting times for all of us, I believe. All right, not only for teaching and learning, not only for learning, not only for the teachers, but also for our careers in the future as well. Okay. NFT, how? Okay. All right. So I hope that since we have basically covered quite a bit, are there any other questions? Are there any individuals who would like to share certain of your key understandings or findings that you have got recently with your experience with AI or ChatGPT or the numerous different AIs that are available in the market, I believe, and there are many more to come?
I've tried out one tool. I don't know if you guys have tried this out. It's called Tome. I don't know whether it's pronounced Tome or to me. So anyways, it's called Tome AI. It actually allows you to produce presentations very quickly. So it uses the ChatGPT engine. And then you can just type what you want your slide, your presentation to be, and it will produce the content for you, including suitable images. However, it is limited to up to 8 slides. But I get the feeling this tool was actually meant for educators, because a lot of these AI tools, when they want beta testing, done currently, so it's under beta testing now. So what I found out is that if you register for personal use, you get 500 credits. So the idea is you've got to get more people to use, then you get more credits, so like MLM lah, right? But then they have a special education for those with a .edu or .edu.my email, so educational institutions, they will give you up to 5,000 credits. So I get the feeling that their target is actually, their main target market is actually educational institutions. So this tool is basically going to help you create your what do you say, your outline for your presentation. Much faster, like you were saying, Gabriel, mundane task, so it can do that for you. However, the limitation right now, there is no way you can download it as PowerPoint or download it as PDF file. That means you have to run the slide from the site. But I noticed that if you're presenting something very generic, a very general topic, then this is quite useful. But of course, it's not as good as ChatGPT because it does tend to repeat the data again for the different slides. But something that I think I just thought I'd share with you guys, that it can actually reduce the time that you need to think about, or what should I put in the content. At least the outline is there for you. The content you can just change and put what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like what Dr. Ang says lah. We need to use this AI as we are the masters. They are just the tool, so to assist us. Now, Michelle has put in quite a few very interesting slides in the share over here. Michelle, are you able to speak, Michelle? Maybe not. Oh, yes. No. All right. I know she is actually going around a little bit. She has sent a message to say that she is not on her desk. Anyway, please do have a look at what Michelle has put up. I believe these are guides on how to set your questions, especially pertaining to like programming and data science. I'm trying to see, it's a bit small over here. I'm trying to click it on. So on writing, creative, academic life. Okay. So these are certain guides over there to assist us in structuring our questions so that it could, in a way, not be used, or in a way, not be targeted by students using ChatGPT itself. Good. Very, very good assistance over here that gives us certain ideas on how this can be done. Good. See, so much new information that we are getting at the moment. Yes, ChatGPT cheat sheet. Who put this ChatGPT? Oh, she put the ChatGPT cheat sheet somewhere. Okay. Marketing staff can actually use this to give students a career roadmap. If you are lonely, can use ChatGPT as well. Yes, I totally agree with you about the lonely. As I said, I have been chatting with GPT numerous times. Okay. All right. So are there any questions or anybody want to share anything? We are coming to 3:45. I believe this has been a very fruitful session. I do hope that sessions like this can continue, where we can share our experiences and how to get girlfriend without getting caught. Okay, all right, Dr. Ang, fine. I mean, that can be a very good question. They may ask you for context lah. All right. Okay. Is there anything else? Ladies and gentlemen, Idora, maybe you would like to share, maybe Idora, a few words, a few ending words.
I just like to say thank you to Gabriel and TNL for arranging this. And I hope that everyone present today here, is more aware and more comfortable with what ChatGPT is. And I guess we need to start thinking, how do we want, or what kind of educator do we want to be with all these AI tools out there? We do have to, correct, Vijay, we have to embrace technology, but at the same time, we still need to, because as academicians, we still need to be ethical, be professional, and we need to impart that knowledge to our students as well. This will not be the only technology that's going to come out. We're going to have more other things that we have to be prepared for as well. And so I'm happy to share what I know. But yeah, I'm still like everybody else. I'm still learning, and hopefully, we can, like what Gabriel said, have more sessions where we can share on other areas, other topics, and learn from each other. I think that's one of the best ways for us as educators to move and become more creative as well as an educator. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Idora. Thank you for the computing school for assisting us in this session. What we plan to do is to continue with sessions like this, where we will be able to share our knowledge, share our best practices. I, for one, who have used ChatGPT, have learned quite a bit, especially on this data domain, as you would call it. And I would definitely try to use this to create my slides. To all my colleagues over here who have given your 2 cents worth of ideas, which I totally appreciate, and it's not worth 2 cents, it's worth more than 2 cents. And I believe we should continue these sessions, learn from all of us. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much. Have a very good weekend and stay safe. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good
Bye.
weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Eugene. Thanks, Hijaz, Alicia, Li Jing, Dr. Ang, Dr. Yong. Thank you. Have a good weekend. See you guys.